Penn Jillette has a video on his YouTube channel that talks about this magic word in politics these days, as he puts it, and that magic word is Christian. It's not a matter of if you're a Catholic or a Lutheran or an Episcopalian or just any sort of Protestant. You're just a Christian, and that was the whole debate about Mitt Romney as Mormonism kind of Christianity kind of thing, because then you get to use, if you are, if Mormon's a Christianity thing, then you get to use the word Christian, and suddenly you get the religious voter base because you're a Christian. And this is way different than back in the day, like when Kennedy was president, when, as Penn Jillette points out, the Catholics were afraid of the Lutherans, who were afraid of the Episcopalians, who were afraid of, all these different sects of Christianity were scared of each other, basically. And President Kennedy, as a Catholic, had to give a whole speech about how he would not take orders from the Pope as a Catholic in the president's office. And because people really were scared about that. They thought that, he was going to take orders from the Pope because he's a Catholic. Scary stuff, people. But that doesn't really happen anymore, as Penn Jillette points out. And he talks about politics, but I think he's missing the big picture, which is this happens everywhere. People just don't really care about their Christianity anymore. They just say, well, I believe in Jesus, I'm a Christian, and all the other stuff just sort of melts away. Like, I went up to my religious friends and I talked about this, and they're like, what's an Episcopalian? And I don't know what Episcopalian is either. And it's just not in our culture to think about these divisions. We've gotten lazy about it. And, religious people, I think, have gotten lazy, like I've been saying, about their religion. I asked one of my religious friends here at my dorm, I'm sorry, no, I didn't ask. She came back from a Bible discussion thing. Someone asked what she talked about. She just said, oh, how we're all going to hell. Hey, what'd you guys do today? It's like, how we're all going to hell? Excuse me? You don't think that's actually, I don't know if she really believes that, because she said it so nonchalantly, as if oh yeah, we're all going to hell, gonna pick up some brimstone, some fire, say hi to Satan, then we're gonna come back, it's like a trip to the grocery store. It just seems that people don't really take this seriously. They sort of pay lip service to their beliefs, and they say, oh yes, I believe in hell, I believe it's a real place, but we're all going there, whatever, doesn't matter, hee hee. It's weird. But what's even weirder is how people try to justify this. Take, for example, that video, I hate religion but love Jesus. The guy's saying that they're two different things, and, loving Jesus is totally different than the religion, despite the fact that Jesus is an integral part of the religion called Christianity.
Religion says slave. Jesus says son. Religion puts you in bondage, while Jesus sets you free.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, talking to the guy who made that video. You don't hate religion. You just don't give a shit anymore. You don't want to keep the Sabbath holy and not work on the Sabbath and do all these other rules that are part of the religious practice, because you just don't care. It's the whole thing about, atheists just want to be atheists so they can sin. You just want to, be a hippie Jesus freak, so you don't have to follow all the religious rules that you sort of have to follow if you want to be a Christian. And for all these people who just sort of say, oh, Christianity is just loving Jesus and then you can do whatever the hell you want, I say, grow up. Just come out and have the balls to say that you're not a Christian, you're a Jesus hippie. Because if you're not following the Bible, then you're not a Christian. I mean, the Bible isn't let me draw an analogy. There was a comic strip making fun of these really, crazy gun nuts here in the United States, and it was the Constitution that says, we the people, blah, 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 Second Amendment written out, right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, blah, 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 and then signed Thomas Jefferson. And that's, how the gun nuts picture the Constitution. And a similar argument can be made for how these people who just say, oh, it's about loving Jesus, picture the Bible. It says, in the beginning, blah, 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 follow Jesus and love him, blah, 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 blah. And that's it. That's the Bible is a pretty thick book. It's not just that. If it was just that, there'd be one page, and it'd be in 36-point font. That's not how it is. There's a lot more shit in there that you people just don't seem to care about. And so you make up excuses like, oh, it's just about loving Jesus. If you love Jesus, you get into heaven. No. There's such thing as sin. That's why you have Jesus, to redeem your sin. And you can't just sort of love Jesus and have all the sins forgiven. That's kind of the point of your religion. And now I'm ranting about this really, infuriatedly, I guess you could say. Now, it doesn't affect me. I just want to put that out there. It doesn't affect me. I don't really care because people aren't coming up to me and doing all this stuff. It doesn't affect my life. But at the same time, it's just one of those things that I notice, and it's really irritating. Not because it affects me, but just because it bugs me, is that these people try to say, oh yes, just love Jesus. Bullshit. You're just making that up. You really don't care about your religion. You're only religious in name. And it's just a strange, sad sight to see.